It warns me. It's being live streamed. I know. It's okay. I got hit by some rocks off that front tire. Long it smoked me right in the armpit a couple times.
Gentlemen, welcome to the morning show. How are you guys?
Feeling good, fed, sleep, sore.
That's awesome. If you give me a moment, I gotta do a little bit of housekeeping to get this thing rolling. Um, as always, our sponsors, these are the people that make it so that I can bring these shows to you guys and keep talking about the sport that I love so much, the ATV industry. Elka Suspension. If you're not running Elkas, you need to get them on your machine because they are the dominant shock in the ATV UTV industry. GBC Tires are a huge sponsor for ATV-TALK. They have ATV tires, UTV tires, and I've said this many times. I even have a set on my truck. The Blunt family, these are just Jason Blunt and his family. They are huge supporters of ATV-TALK and make sure that we get everything that we need to bring more and more content to you. So if you ever get a chance, read up about Jason on the YouTube page. There's two articles, one on his machine and also one with him. So check him out. Craig Christie, he also helps us out. He got us to the Legends race in Ohio. So, and Craig also raced Baja. He's a great guy. So if you ever get a chance, shake his hand, talk to him because he's got a lot of insights on racing and the ATV industry. So thank you very much, Craig Christie. And if you're ever on vacation in Arizona, you need to stop by Antelope Slot Canyon Tours and take a tour. These guys are great. The Simmons family, I raced with them in Best in the Desert for years. Are you guys going to go take a tour? You guys are already booked, right?
I'm not far.
He's not far.
I'm not far. I'm
I gotta
actually
go.
willing to go do that.
I had to go visit him
So,
before he
so
moved.
just tell them that I sent you, and they should take really good care of you. And I really enjoy the relationship I have with the Simmons. They're great people, and they have a background that you guys would respect. I think they've come a long way to bring themselves back, and hats off to them. So, like I said, if you're on vacation, schedule a tour. You can do it from Vegas. You can go to Page, whatever you want to do. Go see the canyons. You'll never see it look the same twice. So it's a great deal. You need to go check it out. So, gentlemen, you guys raced Vegas to Reno, and you've accomplished this race and finished it 3 years in a row.
Yes, sir. The
That's
only 3 years we've entered so far.
We're Team Blind 3, Vegas Torino 0.
that's awesome. So, Jason, you're basically what I'm going to call Team Blind. Ian, I'm going to basically call you Square One Speed, okay? Because
That works.
I appreciate all of your input in the chat when we go and do our shows, and you're always there. And I really appreciate that. I'm sorry I am dropping the ball and not doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
There's a way. I'm sure someone's going to show up in the live chat. Holy cow! Okay, start talking.
Right, there you go.
The topics are good.
How did the race go for you guys? So I'm just going to be clear. One of the biggest reasons why I wanted you guys on is Race 2 or Race 22. I know that you're huge supporters of it, but I'll get into talking a little bit about your race, and then we can talk a little bit about some of the other stuff. Jason, you had your parents there, and I got to meet your dad and mom. That's pretty great. Just a few minutes ago in our pre-chat. It's awesome that you guys have such a tight-knit group, and you get to do it with people you're friends with and people you love, and that's incredible. It really is. So you guys make sure you chalk those memories up and lock them down because once it stops, it doesn't come back. So how did the race go for you overall? I know that I got a message on what was it Wednesday night or Thursday?
Thursday, probably during tech and
Oh
contingency.
yeah, Thursday. Whenever I did the infamous clutch cover crack. The bike kicked back on me when I was kickstarting it to drive it back to the truck after tech, and it locked up, and I pushed down on it, and I cracked the clutch cover case. And luckily, I had a spare engine because we weren't sure if our race engine was going to be done in time. So I had my dad overnight an engine from Pennsylvania to Ian about a week before the race, while I was at the Cedar City Legacy Dirt Revolution. My dad overnighted an engine down to Ian, and I woke up to a text from my dad Monday that said UPS lost that package, and it was supposed to be to Ian on Saturday. And then we freaked out and we're going through. Well, then our race engine ended up getting done, and I picked that up from Jeff Schrick from OCP in St. George on my way to the airport to fly home. Dropped
Great parts relay, we're calling it.
So then I dropped that off in Las Vegas to our other teammate Kenny Pellman, and he met Ian in Havasu the week before the race with the engine. So I just by chance, we had a spare engine. I mean, if the UPS thing didn't work out, which it eventually came to Ian, so we ended up actually having two engines. So it was a blessing in disguise to an extent that we had to have an emergency overnight, which isn't the first time we've had to do this. You know how this stuff goes. And
Yes.
we had the parts that we needed, and we got it in the bike and got her rolling and got it. We actually also had to swap out a rear shock the night before also.
Yeah, our seal head was leaking. That's basically just a precursor to how the race started going.
So this was before the race even started. But Ian, I mean, he took off the line this year, so I mean, he can give you his input from the start. And Kenny's not here with us to give us his rundown, but Ian,
I gotta
on his legs, and I'll
before we
give
get
my
there in the
points.
chat, they're asking who's team blind. Let's tell them who you guys are.
Well, my name is Jason Zittel. I am the co-founder of this crazy team. It started three years ago, and Ian called me and said, "Hey, we're racing Vegas to Reno," and I said, "Well, what do we have to do?"
So 2022, there was a plan in place with another couple guys, Brian Dunstan and Sean from Slick Rock Gear there, and we were going to race a 250R. It was like this idea we all wanted to do. We thought it'd be awesome, just race a 250R in expert class or something and get it across the line. We thought it'd be awesome. Well, due to some other constraints and things, they weren't able to make the race. So I was still in. Another guy, Justin, was still in, and I said, "Well, I'd like to have a third rider, and I can still build a machine." So I called him about 2 months prior.
6 weeks.
6 weeks, not even 2 months. Before I even got it out of my mouth, I said, "I got this crazy idea." He goes, "I'm in." So the Team Blind moniker comes from all the works races we would go to. Since we're working all the time, we work Monday through Friday. You know, we show up to the track at about 10, 11 o'clock, sometimes 1 a.m, Saturday morning. We never do practice whenever they have it on Fridays. We may get a sight lap maybe once in a great while. And then we would our first sight lap was lap 1 of our race. So I remember standing at the finish line one day, and Travis Tarno looks at me and he goes, "Do you guys even practice?" And I go, "No, we're just always going in blind." And he goes, "You guys are out of your mind." I said, I'll do sight lap on lap 1 and then I'll figure it out from there. So that's where Team Blind came from, because we're always kind of shooting from the hip on it. We're getting better at planning ahead and getting things together, but that's where Team Blind came from. So he and I hooked up for Vegas to Reno that first year, and we've been hooked on the desert stuff ever since. So we hit Vegas to Reno. Then we did the Laughlin Desert Classic that year, which was a really fun race.
Last year we only did Vegas.
Yeah, we only did Vegas to Reno last year, and then I broke my leg during the race, so we couldn't do anymore. But then this year we decided we're going to run the whole Best in the Desert season, since they lopped it down to 4 races. So,
Well,
we're wondering,
so now we have a breakdown on Team Blind. Square One Speed.
Square One Speed, man, it's just a tiny little channel that started with that first ATV I bought when I moved out to Arizona. And I thought it would be really cool. Like you said, make sure you capture those memories. That's kind of what I'm doing. I had a friend tell me that after I came home from one of my deployments, and he goes, "Do you write any of this down in a journal?" I go, "No." And he goes, "You probably should, because there's a lot of interesting stories you come home with." I said, "Okay." So this is kind of one of those ways I keep track of what's going on. And I'm documenting how I started with just a bone stock TRX 450.
Started from square one.
Started from square one and started building it and kind of working my way from C class to B class to open A to trying to, qualify for pro-am. And then we're running these pro classes in desert. It's literally just a build up from scratch. And I document racing, the experience of racing. I try to document, tech and contingency and the stuff that goes on around it. And then I go on trips and I meet other creators and I go on rides and I experience new places. So it's kind of fun to take people along and show them literally you can start with nothing. And now I have 6 ATVs in my garage. So that's kind of how it always goes. But start from square one and just build up from there and have fun with it.
That's a great story. You know what? When I had you on the show, we didn't even talk about where that started and why it started. So that's great that you clarified that for us. So you guys had some exciting things go on before the race started.
Yeah.
Which usually in my world, when I have a start like that, the rest of the race generally isn't like that. How did it go for you guys after the green flag dropped?
So it seemed like everything was going good. After we swapped out a rear shock, I happened to bring another one that we had built by Nolene. And I was like, this one, it looks like it's leaking. Let's just swap it now, a day or two prior. And case was fixed. I made sure everything was sealed and thing was running good, fresh oil, and it seemed fine. Everything was going to go great. Then we get to the start line. I'm there at about 5 a.m., already pulling the thing off the truck, getting ready to stage. Starts up great, no issues with the thing running. And then as I'm taking off, it feels like the clutch is chattering. And I'm going, man, please don't do this now. So I roll up to the start line. It's giving me a little bit of trouble, but I said, well, we're here now and we're gonna start running and see what happens. We don't have time to fix this right now. I just want to make sure I make staging, make the start, and we go from there. Take off from the line, and where they had it this year, they had a double danger within an 1/8 mile of the start. So I'm like, okay, this course is serious. Since this course this year was a lot of virgin course, they hadn't run any of this before. There's a lot of it that's familiar, but a bunch of the course was new. So there were some new dangers and things. So I'm trying to be cautious, but keep the speed up because I've got Q2 right behind us. I think it was not Brett, it was Elijah who started right behind me. So had to keep the speed up and get going to pit 1 and 2. And we had a good plan because pit 2 was close enough that I could skip pit 1, basically give a thumbs up to our guy there and keep rolling. And so far, up to that point, the quad was running great. It was screaming. We were able to hold 80 miles an hour. We had all 5 gears. We hit 90 at one point. Yeah, I'm thinking it was early on in the race too. We checked our trail tech. We got a speedometer on there and it said our max speed was 90. So we had things running good. And screamed into pit 1. Everything feels good. Got all 5 gears. It slipped out of 5th once. And I think that was after pit 1, but then got to pit 2 ahead of those guys. Saw one downed rider, stopped for like 45 seconds to check on the guy. A bike had gone down in a real dusty section. That's kind of how the whole beginning of the race is you're flying blind for most of it because the dust is so thick since everyone's so close together. You've got all the pro bikes right ahead of you. There were a couple adventure bikes, so like Africa Twins and stuff got out ahead of us. So we had to chase everything down in the dust. And this guy popped out of the dust and I'm doing about 50 and I see a double danger and then I see a bike appear and I'm locked up on everything. Just so happens I'm able to gather it up and stop for about 45 seconds, ask the guy if he's okay. He mumbled, then he gives me a thumbs up and then he goes, my shoulder. And I can see him hanging his shoulder down. So I said, I'm going to run to the next pit because he was about, I want to say maybe 10, 15 miles from the next pit. So ran there, tried to get a hold of people. Well, in pit 2, we weren't quite set up yet. So got into pit 2, had to scramble to find where our pit had parked. And then we didn't have fuel in the pit ready. So that's where Brett and them were able to catch up. And then they passed in the pit. We calmed ourselves down, said, well, let's go over the quad and check on everything. And that's when I noticed now we have oil leaking. And I'm thinking, man, did I pinch the gasket when I put the fresh case cover on or what? And we noticed the engine oil side still had oil in the sight glass, but it was lower. And I said, well, the engine's running, it's going to be cycling. And we're going, all right, how's this race going to go from here on out now? So I saw oil over my boot. I saw some oil on the rear brake. And I'm going, oh, let's see if we can just keep this thing alive at this point. So
Keep the bike moving.
yeah, once you see, like, once your competitors pass you and you're thinking about, I've got all these troubles going on right now, it goes from you're trying to win to let's make sure we can keep this thing alive at this point. So from there, handed it off to Jason, and he went from 2 to 3. I said, let's just make sure we got fuel in it. Added a little bit of oil to both sides. I thought maybe the clutch side was leaking, and added some, and I said, let's go. So he took off from there.
Yeah, when I hopped on, I mean, I was still, even though we were 500 miles into the season, Vegas to Reno beat me last year because I crashed doing close to 70, about 50 miles in, 10 miles after pit 1 last year. So Vegas to Reno, we have a very unique relationship. And so sometimes, you first get on that bike and you get those butterflies, and there's a little bit of gun shy at first, but after about like 2 minutes, everything starts clicking and you remember what you've been doing for the past 30 years on these machines. And at that point, once that flushed out of my system, it's 85 miles an hour. Let's go. Like no regard for not. I'm a little bit different. I ride that thing I'll push it to the max. So with a little bit of air on the side of caution sometimes, but with that, the competition instilled in us, obviously we want to get it to we want to try to beat those guys and beat the clock and beat the desert, but at the same time, you got to turn yourself down a notch and say, okay, what's the reason we're doing this? And that's beyond what we are for the reason why we race. And at that point, it's okay, let's just keep the bike moving, get to the finish line. We've got a package to deliver when we get there.
Right. So let me interrupt you for just 1 second. You said something here that's intriguing to me. Why you race? Okay. Why explain that?
So, I mean, at first, when I first started racing when I was a kid, I've got my dad here with me. And he's a 31-year Marine Corps retired veteran, Bronze Star recipient. And when we first started racing, it was father-son time, and it still is to this day. And the military and Ian as well. I mean, the military is what has provided and does provide for us to race and all the stuff that we do. And then year 1 of desert racing for us, that's when we met Bill and Debbie Burgess of Race to a Race 22. And that completely changed the gears on why we're doing this program. And like my dad can even tell you, just watching me race from 25 years ago until now, the difference in how we go about carrying on our program. And it really struck one with me when we found out about that organization and got to know them and become part of their family, and they're part of our family. I mean, I look to Bill and Debbie, as I call them Uncle Bill and I call Debbie Mom, and it's just like they care so much about racers and veterans, and to bring those two things together, it's just it was something that was meant to be. And I have 3 very close friends of mine that I carry with me. Two of the guys I actually served with at my unit, and another guy was from the hometown where I grew up in Pennsylvania. That was a very close friend of mine. And
what are their names?
It just Sergeant Brian Gindelsberger, Stephen Cox, Sean Burke. And unfortunately that list keeps getting bigger. I found out 2 days before the race that one of the guys who raced our original adapted machine, John Winker from Resilience Racing, he lost one of his battle buddies. So I wrote his name on my helmet. It's Sergeant David Van Esperen. They called him Doc. One of our guys, Adam Poppenhaus, he's our double amputee racer. He notified us a few days before the race. So I wrote Doc's name on my helmet, and I made sure I had to get that guy to the finish line. And throughout the race, it was hard times. I mean, I threw a chain once, put me down on the side of the track, and then at RM 527, I broke a chain up on Mount Como, and I thought I was out of the race. But I mean, I was looking around I was climbing telephone poles, trying to pop a staple out of a telephone pole to try to put this master link back together, and just trying to find whatever I could, asking every dirt bike that came by. And finally, I wish I could find out the guy's name on the bike that gave me the master link. But the race wasn't over. I was ready to take our toe strap out and start pulling that thing. Like, just like when I pushed the bike at Silver State 2 miles across the finish line, I could feel those guys pushing me forward. And every single race we've finished these races. Every race that we've done, we've finished. And there's dozens and dozens of races that I've done in the past, but since we've started doing this, I can't cross the finish line or get on that podium without tears. It's just such an emotional feeling just to know that we made it and that they made it with us.
That's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you guys on today to talk about this, because Jason, I know from speaking to you before and talking with Debbie how attached emotionally you are to it all. I'm not saying you're not. I just know from the conversations that I've had about Jason that there's some connection that I'll never understand, but I appreciate it. Ian, if you would do me a favor, how do we contact Race 2 or Race 22? Do you have that information off the top of your head?
Yeah, actually, there's several ways. So they do quite a bit of social media. They try to keep up with it, but you got to remember, Debbie is very busy. She's always talking with families, getting information from families, getting the stories. She does everything by hand. She does the footwork. Bill helps her with all that too. And Bill is running around contacting other teams, getting them on board. But basically, they have a Facebook page, Race 2 Race 22. They have an Instagram, Race 2 Race 22. Right now, I don't remember the phone number off the top of my head, but I think Jake, do you remember the phone number?
I don't have a
Okay. It's okay.
Either way,
I can get some of that information, and
right.
when we turn this into a different episode, we can add that stuff in. So
yeah,
the relationship you have with Bill and Debbie, that's pretty spectacular. I don't want to get off the race topic, but the getting to see the Instagram and getting to see the camaraderie and the group that you guys were before the race on Wednesday, that was pretty awesome. And I just really enjoy that. One of the things that I was going to try to do is I was going to try to come out this year, and unfortunately, my workload is keeping me from it. I mean, I got to go to the Legends race, but I planned that,
right, months in advance.
Yeah, and it's difficult. You guys understand. You're both trying to juggle your schedules around everything. I don't want to delve into things that I'm not supposed to as far as your military career, but Jason, you have a tattoo on your arm that I can see.
No, it's the Statue of Liberty.
That one, and then what are the two emblems that like their arrows pointing down?
It's a band symbol basically. But they have, it's a very, very motivational heavy metal music that basically, it's one of those things where, basically of resiliency is a lot of their lyrical base is about overcoming, and just it struck a couple chords with me. And you know, they're big into supporting like veterans and stuff like that. So I kind of, it's just one of those things. Young kid getting tattoos, you know what I mean?
Dude, that's great.
My dad's got a different opinion on the tattoos. I think he's the only guy that's done 30 years in the Marine Corps who doesn't have a tattoo. So
I'm, no offense, I'm in his book. I'm on his team. My son's got 2 sleeves and some on his back and other places. You know, I think all 5 of my kids have tattoos. So, you know, my wife and I are kind of anti, but you know what? It's their body, their thing, and if you support it, that's great. Let's talk a little bit about the. Excuse me, just one second. Just thinking about some things in my life with some of the veterans I know, and you know the people, and it's more emotional than a lot of people think it is. I know you guys live it every day, and I appreciate that. But based on your team structure and the things that you guys do, elaborate a little bit on what the military brought you as far as being able to organize and some of the motivations that you have. I know some of it has to come from your military training.
Well, I can tell you,
Dad said it right.
being able to handle chaos is one of those things. Organized chaos, basically. No, it comes down to, you know, being able to discipline yourself, tune out the negative stuff. Like I said, once we realized, hey, we're behind Vital Motorsports now, it turns into, okay, well, we can still keep this thing going. During the race, you know, I think it was after pit 3 when Kenny got on, he lost 5th gear, and we're going, okay, well, now we only have 4 gears, but we still have 4. So let's try doing that.
And we have an engine. So
yeah, we have an engine. So being able to at least organize everyone and switch gears on the fly, like, all right, guys, hey, this is what we're doing now. Being able to provide at least a little bit of leadership between all the pit crews and all the racers. And then when things go wrong, being able to improvise, things like that. Logistics, man, just being able to come together, tie all those things together, and then you whittle the plan down as you get closer and closer to the race, and you try to cover contingencies and things like that. Even though you can't cover everything, every race that we do, we learn something new that gets jotted down and added to those contingencies. Now, you can't fix everything, you can't prevent everything, but at least you can try, or you can organize enough things that you can make it work along the way. So
let me ask you this question. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Jason.
I was saying, like last year, Ian broke a foot peg and broke his leg. I showed up with 5 foot pegs, 1 set for every truck this year.
Yeah,
you know, but then we break a chain, and so you prepare for what you've known has gone wrong in the past, but you can never. I mean, it's you've done this sport long enough. You never know what's going to break. You know, you never know what's going to happen, and you can't prepare for everything. And that's where the improvisation comes into play. I mean, like I said, I was climbing a telephone pole trying to pull a staple out to use for a master link. You know,
that's nutty right there.
I think the biggest thing that they get from it is perseverance. They never give up, no matter what the situation is. And that's where, you know, in the military, if you can't get over that and give up, you're dead. And in this case, it's like, guess what? We're not going to give up no matter what. We're going to go down to the last second or last breath, if that's what it takes. It's the perseverance that gets you through it.
We said it at the finish line too. When he came rolling up to the finish line, I'm just filming him coming in. You can hear us saying it, by any means necessary.
All right. Well, young man, introduce yourself.
no,
Come here, Jim. Come here, Jim.
I'm Jim Zittle, Jason's father, and I was when I was little, I was just on the farm, on a dairy farm, and it was mini bikes and dirt bikes and snowmobiles, you know, and you know, my oldest daughter, we'd go home on leave, and they would we still had quads and 3-wheelers on the farm, so the kids would have a blast. And my daughter moved on to she had a little LT80, and she moved on to a dirt bike, and then Jason got the LT80, and you know, we got him rolling then. So, but yeah, So, and different duty stations, different type of riding. That was a big thing down in Texas. Is a lot of dirt and dust and technical. And then we get to Pennsylvania, and you got High Point Challenger and Field of Dreams and stuff like
Blaster classes.
and a whole bunch of mud, you know. So Jason had to learn how to get through mud.
Wow.
The
Jim,
tear
can I
off,
ask you,
tear
can I
off
ask
your
you,
rolling for dust in Texas.
Jim, may I ask you a personal question?
Sure.
So Race to a Race is something that these guys support, and they introduced it to me. Being that you're a veteran, how do you feel about this organization?
Well, I think it's basically the best thing ever for Jason and the situation where he was at. And one of the things, Ian, he's part of it now, but he doesn't understand it completely like some of these other guys and me myself. But once you get separated from the military, your day-to-day comrades, you don't have anything else to tie you together and keep you focused. And this organization, because of our experiences being around soldiers, Marines, and fellow service members who can't overcome the lifestyle change and all the dynamics that go into that with family, friends, and careers, that's a big hurdle. And some people can't handle it, and then they decide to take their own lives. And I think that's the biggest thing that this organization does for Jason, and also with people like we got Josh in here and Mitch, and we have other veterans in our group that you obviously you've seen. Those they know that they've been there. Your mind is totally different, and you don't understand it until you go through it. And
Right.
I think this organization and Debbie and Bill are the tremendous organization to be with.
Yeah, I don't have anything even close to relate it to. And that's why my heart goes out to Jason every time I talk to him. Because I can just feel the emotions in him when he's speaking. And, that's another reason that I'm drawn to having him on the show and to talking with him, because there's always something comes out every time that a little bit more of the story comes out. And if we can help one person, I think we're successful. And you guys are doing an amazing job, and I just want you to keep going, keep doing it. You hear that, Jason?
Yep. We're not gonna stop anytime soon. Obviously,
Jim.
I mean, we want to keep doing this. We want to win this race, but there's a different race that needs to be won, and there's a lot of other guys that are in that race, and we don't want them to fall out of it.
So based on, categorized winning, I know the guy that was first overall gets the trophy, but there's another form of winning here that a lot of people aren't talking about, and that's the perseverance and overcoming adversity and teaching children. You got to keep going. You got to keep working hard. Jason, Ian, you have children. Jason, I don't know.
No, two. Yeah, I've got 3 4-legged kids.
So yeah, well, there you go. But the group is teaching those young people things that other young people aren't getting taught, and that's also very, very important. Ian, are your children, do they participate in chasing? Did they come to the race?
So they were able to come to Silver State, and they were both there. The wife was there. That was their first ever time being able to chase dad. And they were having the kids were awesome. I thought they were going to be in Alicia's hair the whole time, but nope. She was able to keep them pretty much under control, but they understood what was going on, and they thought it was awesome. It was so cool to have them there. They weren't able to make it this time because, of course, she works and they have school. So, but it was awesome to have them at Silver State, and it just made it that much more fun.
That's those are the things that I'm talking about. This is another reason why I wanted you guys on, because you bring it so tight with the whole family and the group. What else happened when you guys were out there I mean, you broke a chain late in the race. Did everybody's up? No downed riders, no injuries.
Yeah,
No.
we kept the rubber side down the entire race.
Yeah.
So that's an accomplishment. I mean, there's the finishing the race, there's the winning the race, and then you've got 555 small victories to get through for that race. Every mile is a victory.
Yeah.
And every rock boulder turn. I mean, so there's thousands of victories in this course, and you have, if you can sit back and put that into the mindset of, because some people, if they don't win, if they don't have a good time, and it's all obviously there's larger teams. I mean, there's the trucks and the cars. I mean, there's a lot of money on the line. For us, there's no money on the line. We might get a little bit back towards our entry fee at the next race, but for us, every mile, every rotation of that tire and RPM of that engine is a victory.
Let's put it this way. Everybody behind a set of handlebars, that's a massive accomplishment. Even at the end of the race, when you're standing there and you're talking to people, you could be talking to a dirt biker, you could be talking to another quad guy, you could be talking to another trike team. Doesn't matter. All of them have the same stories to tell, and everybody levels with each other. I know there's the constant war between dirt bikes and quads, and the trikes are the weirdos. It doesn't matter. We like them all. Everybody out there has the same story at the end of the course, and we all start shooting the breeze with each other. And everybody just realized you just did 555 miles behind a set of handlebars, and hopefully you had a comfy seat while you were doing it.
Yeah, like while I was trying to fix the chain, I mean, I'm flagging down bikes to try to get a master link, and one of the Ironman bikes, I mean, he dumps it like 30 yards from me on Mount Como going uphill. I ran down the hill and helped him pick his bike up, and he's like, man, because I just dumped it like 5 times in the past mile. I'm like, dude, you only got like 30 something more to go. Keep pushing, keep pushing. I was like, I'll see you at the finish. And like just that, it's crazy how, I mean, you've seen it on the moto side, and even at like works, like the adversary or they're the adversaries of quads and bikes. Like quads have always been like the redheaded stepchildren of motorsports to an extent, but I've found in desert racing that doesn't quite exist, because the handlebar classes in general are a dying breed. And and I know the Folks brothers and Megan, and they want to keep that going. They want handlebars to keep to grow again and be the premier thing it was, back in the day, where there was the factories, even if it's just the bikes duking it out, but if there's factory involvement there, it grows the sport anywhere, because we know bike teams that have kids that don't want to race dirt bikes, they want to race quads, and we know quad teams whose kids don't want to race race quads, they want to race dirt bikes. So you see families showing up and teams showing up with a bike and a quad, and that's great. As long as we can keep people coming to this sport and keep it growing, no matter by any means, it's great. It's what we need. And to have Best in the Desert supporting us and giving, and they have been very great to us as a team. And at first we were kind of gun shy of them. We felt like we weren't quite welcome, and but then when things started to take a change and we started to get to know each other and realize like what we can do for each other, because they need us just as much as we need them, because all it takes is, Dakar just dropped quads out of their series. Who knows, all the local motocross tracks and other district races are dropping quads because of numbers. But to have them, it's a privilege for ATVs to be able to race in a lot of the series. And so for that to be around for us, we couldn't ask for more, because without them, we wouldn't have anywhere to go do this crazy thing. We wouldn't have a platform to put out what the message we're trying to convey is without these promoters.
Doing what we're doing. Ian, you have a channel, I have a channel. you guys out there supporting, spreading the word, doing the things that you're doing. I think that we may be less numbers. I don't think we're a dying breed. I believe we're in a lull. It's going to come back. I don't think it'll ever. Well, let's be clear. It may get bigger than it ever was, but if it just gets consistently a little larger, we're going to be okay.
Yep.
You guys saw the information on the Legends race back in Ohio. That was a huge turnout. Okay. Yeah, there's other reasons why, but it was promoted well. And that's one of the things that we're lacking in ATVs racing is correct promoting.
Yeah, you got to get eyeballs on it.
So what you're doing, Ian, with your channel, that's helping getting eyeballs on it. What I'm trying to do is spread the word on a sport that I love so much. You know as well as I do, this isn't a financial gain.
No, no.
Ask my dad on that one.
You know, I mean, I work for a company we've been very successful and had a great and are having a great run, but it's 7 days a week. It's a lot of hard work. And you know what? I don't have a gold toilet or, you know, a brand new Ferrari in the driveway.
You don't?
Oh, that was you know what? Don't believe everything that you read on the internet.
I swear I thought it was true.
No, there's only one guy I know with a gold toilet, and you know, he's got more money than all of us, but that's neither here nor there. Keep doing what you're doing, guys, because you're doing a great job. Don't quit. Don't even slow down. I want to hear more about the amputee machine. How is that going, and how is that program progressing for you guys?
Slowly but surely. Right now, it's a fight to get parts quickly, and I understand that because a lot of people. It's kind of a good thing because a lot of people are out of parts and they have to make new ones. But right now, have the engine. I've pulled the thing apart. Getting other things done like rebuilding the crank. Exhaust is there, but then I received the wrong header, so I had to send that back, and I'm waiting on the new one and things like that. But I have almost all the pieces to include the suspension, and then I can basically start putting it together. There's mounting the Clicktronics kit to make sure that it shifts and all that. There's those little things that we're trying to fine tune to make sure that it's streamlined and it doesn't get in the guy's way and it works properly. Otherwise, all the pieces are there. So now it's time to basically assemble it and get it done. I just finished this machine to make sure that we could get to Vegas to Reno with these guys. And then now I can focus on that machine because I'm going to have some ample time here. Now, Nomad, our machine that we just raced, we're going to basically leave that in Vegas. And now I can focus on the other one and start pumping out time and videos on that machine so that I can get that thing done and hopefully have these guys on it by the end of the year.
We've actually got two of the racers here, but they're still sleeping. It's been a lot. It was a long weekend for even the pit crews. So we got two of our amputee racers. They chased for us this race. Actually, three of them chased for us this race. So,
and what are their names?
Mitch Mellett and Josh Rockcamp, and then we also Adam Poppenhouse was there. But Mitch and Josh are here with us right now. They're still sleeping though. But
Mitch is kicking.
Oh yeah, Mitch is up and going.
Mitch is moving.
But
well, that's good. So what are the odds of getting that machine and that group connected with a Joe Tolle on ATV On Demand, Dirt Wheels, and myself, so that we could do some promotions for them?
The odds are good. I mean, I've been hassling Dirt Wheels about trying to do a feature on it, but it seems like they just keep posting up UTV stuff. But there's a little
Jeff is listening.
Yeah, sure. But
hey, we're gonna get that rolling. Jeff is doing a great job.
Yeah.
So is Keen, but you can't ditch your bread and butter. Okay, the guy paying the advertising bills are UTV guys, okay. So, you know, we have to do our part and wait in line and get it done. I will talk to those two guys as well. I know your guys are friends with them as Ian. Ian knows every time you get on the phone with Joe, it's forever.
Yep.
You know?
Well, also they need to know when the machine's done.
Yeah,
It's not like they're just gonna drop everything and be ready for it now, because
Yeah.
they don't even know if the machine's
Yeah,
finished.
the little bird has been put in their ears, and we're actually, so I'm good friends with George Cortas, so we're gonna try to arrange like a testing and tuning session with George to kind of put on essentially an amputee riding school, and that's one of the purposes of having this machine. So I'm gonna actually be building another machine for Josh Rockcamp to ride. And then the adaptive machine that's going to kind of be a community bike, so that anybody who thinks that their adaptation is going to prevent them from riding or racing a quad, they're wrong, because we're here to prove that you guys can do it. If anyone that's out there, is, and George's been proof of that. I remember the first time I met George, I'm like, did that dude's leg just fall off on the track, and come to find out, he had that custom shifter made so he could shift with his right foot. That was before Clicktronics and all that stuff. So we've got a lot of different options that we're going to be working on in the future. Because I mean, Mitch is actually transitioning from a dirt bike to an ATV. Because the dirt bike, I mean, he's raced the Mint 400 on a bike, and he did the Legacy Cedar City race 2 years ago on a quad, and he just went and got another 450 TRX to get some seat time on for when we build this machine for those guys.
Well,
Go ahead.
Some unique solutions just got brought up too, because I was talking with Josh Rockcamp about that amputee machine. We're calling it Cyborg. Since we're going to have guys with prosthetics on it, we were thinking about, well, how are we going to keep that foot attached in particular? Because the other, their other leg is fine, but Adam doesn't have either leg. So we were figuring out how to keep their feet from sliding off the pegs. I mean, they're going to be vibrating all over the place. And he pulled his off, and we're looking at it, and we're going, we might be able to work something out with some steel plates in these guys' little foot they have their prosthetic down there. Put a steel plate in, we might be able to use some earth magnets on a set of raft pegs, because they have that nice space in there. And we have a way to clamp in some earth magnets to keep these guys' feet in a good position on the peg, so that they can at least set it down, it'll stick. And then when they want to get off, all they have to do is lean forward and peel the foot off it, and then they can step off and hand off to the next guy. So that was something I didn't even think about until I actually sat down with Josh and talked about it in the garage. It's like, that's actually a really good idea. We might be able to do this, because they already have reliefs cut out in their feet for things like that. There's like mountain bike pedals, a lot of them have clip-ins. And I was like, oh, that's an option. Maybe we could use one of those, like the egg beaters, they call them. You can basically step into it, and then when you want to get out, you just twist your foot and you can step off. We're just trying to make sure that if in the event they're tipping over, they can just get off the machine and not have to be strapped into it or something like that. So that's one of those challenges we have to work around.
Safety is going to be a huge concern on the machine, but
Are you going to be able to have like a chase rider that will be able to follow them?
A guardian angel, basically.
We call them the guardian angel bike, where they're not going to be visible, but they'll be there, type of thing. So that way they don't feel like, oh, we got to have these guys following us. But just, in the event of, it's kind of like the sweeper vehicles that go out, and check the course for down riders, but there's someone that'll be there. Or we may even, and if it's something that needs to be done, we'll get another team
I'll even go out
sign up. We'll even sign up another racer and say, this is your job as a racer. And then someone else can also still be able to compete at the same time. And just, it's just be Overwatch. That's what watch your brother's back. That's what is instilled in us. And that's what it's what we carry forward with that, is everyone's got each other's backs no matter what.
They called that team the Water Boy in Dakar.
Okay. That's a good one.
That's what they call that. When I was over there racing or down in South America with Rafael Sonic, he had a Water Boy. Identical machine following him. So if he had any issues, that guy could tow him in or help him or whatever they needed to do. Are you guys, you mentioned possibly a training day. Do you guys do anything where you take the guys out and just like do a ride day or a ride weekend where you're getting everybody together, you know, at a specific place and spending time with them on the machines so that they get more accustomed to what off-roading is?
Yeah, we'll be doing events like that, and you know, like Legacy has like their UTV Freedom Ride, and I believe Bill and Debbie talked to Donald about allowing ATVs. So like some of these guys, so if when the machine is ready, that's kind of like the purpose of it is we'll have that machine available to get on it and get some seat time and hopefully draw more attention. I mean, this all started, we had one amputee guy when we first started this, and now like we've got a full team. Like we're gonna need like 4 or 5 more bikes, so the guys keep popping up and wanting to race. And it's crazy just that amount of draw. It just, the word spreads like wildfire because the ATV racing is community is a super tight knit group, but the off-road amputee community is also a very tight knit group. So you meet one and then you meet another and then you meet another and you meet another, and it just keeps coming together. And that our team just keeps snowballing. And
Well,
That's great.
to answer your question a little bit more, yeah, we're going to have ride days. We want to make sure these guys know how it's going to be to ride an ATV, because some of these guys already ride dirt bikes. I think Mitch has already ridden dirt bikes. Josh has definitely ridden dirt bikes. He's raced in Baja, but going from that to an ATV is a different ball game. There's differences that they just have to get used to. So we get them on the machine. This is how it feels to shift it, because this one will have the electronic shifter up on the bars. It'll have the clake up on the handlebars. So their rear brake and clutch will be on the left-hand side on the same unit. So just getting them familiar with it, and then also the little nuances of riding an ATV versus a dirt bike so that they can at least get the feeling. And then we don't want to just throw them in blind into a race without ever sitting on it. You know what I mean? I get that. That's our moniker, but we want to make sure they're at least familiar with the machine first.
So when this all starts to happen, planning and information input from you guys to myself and Joe is going to help. Are you guys in contact with Jeff Hansen?
Yeah, every once in a while through Facebook and Messenger and things, I've talked with Jeff, but yeah, I don't have his personal cell phone number or anything.
We'll get that connection, because if your guys are going to do something in the Nevada, Arizona range, and we have enough notice, maybe we could get at least Jeff and I out there. If Joe's in California, we definitely have to get him connected with you guys somehow, because I think it's that important. And to get more and more coverage is going to get more and more eyes is going to get more and more sponsors, more and more involvement. And you never know, you could end up with 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams doing something like this, which would be outstanding, having its own category for those guys to race.
That
would be cool. Yeah, if they had their own class all of a sudden.
Yeah, I'll be reaching out too. I was given some information on there's some adaptive sport specific like magazines and publications as well for like extreme sports, for a lot of guys that do like like the Paralympics for extreme sports essentially. I've been given some contact information for some of those magazines, and I think to open the rest of open the eyes to the rest of the adaptive world, that this is something that can be included in their realm of sport. I think that'll help. That I don't see why this isn't cover worthy of multiple magazines to get the word out there, because there's somebody out there that doesn't know that they can do this stuff, and that's how it all started. Adam said, "I wish I could do this." I said, "Well, why not?" He's like, "Bro, I don't have any legs." I'm like, "Here, watch this." 2 months later, he's racing an adaptive machine, and now we're building one for them. So it's the people. There's a lot of people that don't know that this type of stuff exists. A lot of people don't even know that quad racing exists, let alone an adaptive quad or it's,
Yeah,
we're gonna get the word out there.
I totally agree. I think that what you guys are doing is outstanding. If there's anything that we can do, I know I'm super busy, but if there's anything that I can do, you guys just reach out, you know.
And
You don't
you
have my
having us
private-
on here and the frequency.
This is doing something.
Yeah, the frequency. I never dreamed, just like the first time I met you at works like 4 or 5 years ago. I'm like, that's Leonard Duncan. And then now we're texting each other back and forth on a Tuesday. You know what I mean? Like, it's from looking at where I've come from, and Ian as well. I mean, we were the kids looking at your bikes in the magazines, and now we're calling you on the regular.
Oh,
Like,
that Duncan Banshee keeps
Yeah,
popping up
this
quite a
stuff,
bit.
the stuff that we're doing and sitting here talking to you, our dreams come true for guys like us. You know, we never thought that we'd make it this far. And 5 years ago, before I even started racing works, if you told me that we'd be doing this, I'd be like, man, you're full of it. You're gonna be fighting tooth and nail for a desert championship in 5 years. I said, get out of town. But here we are, and this is like, you're contributing to our dreams and other people's dreams coming true. And we can't thank you enough for what you've done for the sport and the community.
It takes all of us, you know. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys, and you guys would still be doing it. So I appreciate that you come on and that you tell your story, because the story is about you. The story is about what you're doing and elevating these men and women so that they have purpose and know that they're wanted and that they are our heroes, just like you guys. What you do and the sacrifices that you guys make inspire me. And, you know, I appreciate your kind words, but I build ATVs for a living. I'm not changing the world. I'm not out there doing things that are above, and beyond. You guys are. And you have to take that I'm humbled by what is going on in your life and what you're doing, and it doesn't seem like it because we're so busy, and sometimes I don't have the best I'm not a linguist, so I don't have the best way to bring things across, but keep doing the inspirational things, keep fighting hard, because I like what you're doing. I see it and I enjoy it as well. So if there's anything else that I can do, ATV-TALK can do, please reach out. We're here. If I
Thanks,
can't,
Lane.
I'll tell you I can't. And if I can't, and I know somebody that can, I'll get that person in contact with you, because I want it to grow. I want it to be bigger. I want it to be better. And I want you guys to touch as many people as you ever possibly can. And I hope it's in the thousands.
Well, and that's another thing that, so we got in contact with Red Bear Racing, JD Higgins, their GNCC team.
Oh, yeah.
They won the expert class this year. This was their first Vegas Torino. And JD helped us out with some sponsorship for the Cyborg machine. And we're going to be getting him in contact with Bill and Debbie to bring the race to a race 22 and carrying the photos of soldiers to the GNCC races. So it's just those small connections, because how we got connected was JD built, and you've probably seen it, there was a 911 YFZ, and he had the photos of all the firefighters on that graphics kit on that YFZ, and that caught my eye. And I reached out to him and said, hey, I kind of want to do something similar with the veteran suicide program. And he's actually from the one area code over from where my parents live in Pennsylvania. So it's like my dad will be able to go out and hang and check out with those guys at the GNCCs. And every small reach and every new racer, they said they're hooked. They said they're coming back for desert next year. So all it takes is one time, to get out here. I mean, we were hooked after our first Vegas Torino.
Oh, God, yeah.
And then it's like, why do we put ourselves through this torture? And people ask us, and they wonder, because of that. Some people, they'll look at it as, there's no return on investment, but they don't understand the return on investment that we get.
Yeah, it's different. It's not monetary.
It has nothing to do with money whatsoever. And there's nobody, unless you've ever raced, you will never understand what that brings you. And like, especially for us as vets with like give them mental health and everything else. When I'm out on the course, my mind is blank. All I'm thinking, I don't think about any of the troubles that I've had, the week before. I wasn't thinking about the stress from the engine case and the rear shock leaking. I wasn't even thinking about fifth gear being gone because I was doing 80 something in fourth gear. And just every now and again, I wishful thinking, I'd click fifth and nope, that's second neutral. But when you're on that race course, everything else goes out the window. They say it's just like the old saying, excuse my language, when they say that when the gates drops, the bullshit stops. And
Right.
it's all of the BS of the world around you. You put the blinders from the rest of the world on and you get those hundreds of miles of freedom, even if it's just for a day. And
Which, let me clarify real quick. I'm not against the trike teams. Okay, I know I said that earlier, you guys are weirdos, but you're not. You guys are psychos. David Ham showed up at Bill and Debbie's shop with the trike. He was going to be racing with what was it, the American trike team?
Yep.
They showed up, and it's funny how it brings so many people together because we had the trike team in there, we had us in there, we had a bike team in there, all walks of life were in there, and guess what we were all doing? We were doing the same thing. We were all carrying the stories of these guys on our backs to the finish, and those guys blew a tire apart on that trike before pit 11, and we're like, oh, they got tire spines in it, they'll be fine. And David Ham, because I'm texting him back and forth during the race, he goes, no, you don't understand. The tire came apart.
They rode
The
10
block-
miles on a
yeah.
wheel.
The spine went shooting out because all they had left were sidewalls on this thing. And the guy still rode it into pit 11 for 9 miles on that wheel. It was a beautiful OMF wheel at the start of the race. It wasn't at the end of the race. Someone was able to get him a wheel and tire up there at pit 11. And then they finished the race on that trike that was hardly even running when they first showed up at the shop. So those guys were awesome. And plus, I love hanging out with Dave. It's good to see him before every race.
Ham's a great guy.
He's a good dude, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy talking with him. He's got some unique insights, and he's just an off-road enthusiast from UTVs, three-wheelers, ATVs as well. I don't know. Does he dirt bike too?
Yeah, he does a little bit of everything. I think he rode an XR, or he has an XR, and he goes out and he explores the Arizona desert on that thing all the time.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's your true enthusiast. So guys, let's before we wrap up here, let's the gentleman you mentioned on the East Coast in the cross country, ask him if I can reach out to him and send me his
absolutely. I'll text him here in a few minutes and I'll let him know, because I think those guys, that it would be great to have them on the show and hear their side of everything that's going on, and with the comparison from GNCC to desert for the first time. And
well, it's cool to see that it's spreading. So like you said earlier, Lenny, that even if we're on a slight uptick, it's like the stock market. We may be in a dip, but it's going to come back up. And I'm starting to see waves at this point. And it's cool to see all the way from the East Coast. Those guys are coming out here. They say, we want to come back. And then from here, they take what we're doing. They're taking it back there. So it's that cross-pollination, which is really cool to see. It spreads like that.
You get an experience with desert racing. So when I was younger, I didn't really care for desert racing. The flash, motocross, oh, that's where it's at, and now I would only prefer to desert race.
Oh, I'm the same way. I drove down to Nebraska a few months ago because we're on the shared series with quads and bikes and motocross, the local stuff. Quads are first practice to clean the mud off the track, and their last moto.
Yeah.
It rained the night before. They were watering the track. It was about 11 o'clock, and I looked at my wife. I said, "We're going home." She's like, "Why?" I said, "I don't feel like washing this bike for 6 hours." We just like moto, and I give the guys. We ran a lot of the nationals. We drove 19 hours, and then you look at it. You drive 19 hours to go race for 18 minutes if you're running 2 classes. Sometimes and then it's like I want to get like desert's the most bang for your buck. Anybody out there listening? I mean, especially best of the desert, 4 rounds. You got 3 months to prep and rebuild your bike in between.
You want to
races.
test parts, you go out
Yeah.
there.
It's
Right. I mean,
unless a motocross track is 10 minutes from my house, I really have no desire to go back to it. And my knees are. And I say that, you know, I'm almost 40. I'll be 38 in a few months.
dude, you're a
But-
kid. I don't want to hear.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear.
relax.
But at the same time, there's different levels of insanity. It's like I used to look at like a 80-90 foot triple when I was 17. You can ask my dad, he'd be crapping his pants because I'm hucking these jumps. And now they're crapping their pants because I'm doing 80 something miles an hour across the desert. You know, we never
can't-
reached those speeds. It's just a different level of,
Yeah.
And they can't
oh
see.
boy. Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
that's crazy. What's next for Team Blind?
Laughlin.
Yeah, well,
Well, as far as best of the desert, Laughlin is the next.
so I'll be making a move here within the next, you know, however many months. I'll be actually headed east. I'll be moving again, but I'm still going to try to get some things done so that Laughlin can happen. I may be gone during Laughlin, but Team Blind will still be there racing. And then I have the itch really bad to build a Raptor and Ironman this stuff. So I really want to Ironman Vegas to Reno in particular, but I also want to build a Raptor to do it because another team that was out there, this guy I think his name is Ryan Staffke. They actually have our old expert number on their Raptor this year. He showed up to the race and they had one of those big Dakar tanks on it. And I was talking back and forth. Unfortunately, he had a little run-in with a trophy truck about 34 miles from the finish. So his Raptor tumbled and I don't think they finished. But seeing that thing has more ideas rolling in my head and how we can expand this a bit. And if I become the guardian angel or the shadow who's following these guys around and I've got a Raptor and I can follow these guys, that's just more machines on the start line, more guys into it.
Yeah, our goal, I mean, between the two of us, I think we have double-digit 450s. But the goal would be, I would like to have a Team Blind machine in every class at the desert, at the best in the desert, you know, in other desert races. You know, our reach is spreading. We've got stickers and stuff, and I'll see random posts of people posting a picture of their bike, and there's a Team Blind sticker, you know, and that's huge. Like that's just like, but the little stuff that you see, like there's pictures of me crashing that got turned into a meme, you know, and the girls, the Diamonds in the Dust team, you know, Dirt Halo, Dakota Hibbler, and Jaleesa and Santana. I mean, they're the youngest all-female team to finish Vegas to Reno, and like those girls, you know, and that team. And our teammate Kenny's son Jordan, he's 15. He's going to be racing with his dad next year under the Team Blind flag. But that's the next generation of passing the torch on. You know, I look at those. We try to give those girls and those younger racers as many pointers. I mean, we're still learning, but we've also got that life experience of that we can pass on. You know, in the realm of racing, to pass that torch to the next generation of racers. So I mean, the goal for the next thing for Team Blind is more bikes, more awareness. The more bikes we have on the line, I mean, every one of our bikes has race 2, race 22 huge on the gas tank. That's the biggest logo on our bike, and we want that to be out there as much as possible.
The other thing that we want to do is not just build Team Blind, but also keep spreading the sport and hopefully inviting other people out, because we are more than willing to throw parts at other teams, our tools, our whatever muscle I got for you. I'll help you fix your stuff right there in the shop and get it going so that we can get more of us on the line. So hopefully it keeps spreading in that aspect as well, that more people just want to come out and say, hey, we have support in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing about desert that's kind of shies some people away, is the logistical aspect. And I tell every team out there, whether dirt bike, quad, trike, if you're pitted next to us, you know, I say, if it's on my truck, you're welcome to it. You know, just ask. If I have it, I want to see everybody share the experience of finishing that race, of finishing every race. And Same thing with the Race to a Race Cantina. That's our second home in Las Vegas, where we can do all of our prep, and we invite the other teams. If you need to sit down and have a pit meeting or work on your machines prior to the race, they're more than welcome to. And you know, Bill's been racing. They've been doing desert racing for over 40 years. So the amount of knowledge that they can share to the other teams and that they share with us. If anyone out there that's listening or watching this, I mean, if you're worried about logistics, and especially if you're running a Honda,
Yeah.
we've got you covered at the desert races. And even if you're not running a Honda, you know, like if one of the things, I mean, we're still short on, you know, on dump cans a lot of the time, you know, because stuff's expensive. But I mean, we're building it. We're building our arsenal. We're building our crew. Every year, we had 5 trucks going again this year. It was like
we started with 2
we
chase
started
trucks.
at 2. Yeah,
We're up at 4 or 5 now. And like you said, we're kind of building our stash of stuff.
yeah.
ATV racing doesn't really pay, so it takes us a little bit longer to gather the things up, but we see what we need, and we keep adding the most important stuff first, and then the goodies later. But that's what we're working on as well.
Ian, when you want to have that conversation about the Raptor, I've been building it for years in my head, and the job that I have, I get to put Raptors together, and I haven't yet got all the pieces to build my desert Raptor, but I'm more than welcome to assist you and talk with you and give you some of my knowledge to make that happen. I believe in my heart that that's the bike that's going to take over, especially at best in the desert or in the States. Maybe not in Baja, but especially not in Baja 250. That's a really rough existence for any ATV. But the rest of the races, the 400, the 500, and the 1,000, I think that the Raptor would do well in. The engine durability is my biggest thing, that it's just so strong. And you look at the guys that rode Dakar, some of them are one engine.
Yeah.
No matter put a clutch in it, but look at how durable that is.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's some things that need to be explored with that machine that haven't been yet. It's just been kind of overlooked because we're still smelling the fumes of the old 450s and stuff that were just built for so long.
Trust me, brother, I have dove deep on the Raptor. and I believe, okay, the biggest problem with everything is funding.
Yeah.
Yep.
Get a little bit of funding, and I'll roll one to the starting line, and you guys would be like, "Oh my goodness," because they're so fast. And yeah, depending, it doesn't matter who you deal with. With Doug Roll, when he starts freaking touching the shocks, and you know, that thing will just float and work and be awesome. I know that you guys have a shock guy that you like, and you know, there's different levels, and they all seem to work really well. So,
well, like you and Joe Bird had that conversation. It's, you know, there's nothing good out of the box, but if the right guy, you know,
Yes.
I've had Doug build shocks. Ian's had Doug build shocks. You know, and we love them. You know, there's no difference. It's those guys. That is they're wizards. They're masters of their craft. And you read and see, oh, well, these are junk, those are junk. It's like, well, yeah, you got to send it to the right guy. You can't, nothing is good out of the box. That's why the aftermarket exists. That's why you guys, because you know, they build it, you guys make it better.
Yeah, pretty much. That's you know, that's how I feel. But guys, we have went over our time, and it's not because I don't want to stop talking about it, but we only slot so much time for these shows, and I really want to say you guys are killing it and doing great stuff for your comrades, your people, your friends, your fallen heroes, and keep doing it, please.
You got it.
Absolutely.
We're not stopping.
Yes, sir.
Jason, you ever need anything, you have my number. You just call.
Oh yeah.
You
Yep,
don't
and
have-
I appreciate that. You were there looking for the parts we needed as soon as I sent you the message. So I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, I had it. I knew exactly where the case was on the shelf. Okay, I can get there if somebody's going to meet me. Yeah, because I had some other things going on that night. But I was planning in my head the time frames, and if I was needed, that I could have made it happen. So
Yep, and we can't express how much we appreciate stuff like that. That's where it really comes down to it. So to have that kind of that comfort in knowing that the support is there, it helps us
always there, brother.
rest.
It's always there, brother. Ian, you keep doing what you're doing as well. I hope whatever's going on with you and the transition works out for you. I don't want to dive too deep into that because I don't know if it's public knowledge, but you take care. And there again, you need anything, brother, you reach out as well. And you have fans and you have support.
Thank you, Lenny. You'll be hearing more from me.
Yep.
All right, guys. Have a great day. And again, thank you so much. Please make sure you tell the families and the teams. I appreciate me letting you steal you guys for a little while. And I would be more than inclined to meet the rest of the guys.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Got it.
All right, guys. Have a great weekend. Thank you again.
Thanks,
and
Lenny.
congratulations on finishing the race.
Thanks, Lenny. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you later.
All right, bye.